He argued that the vote by Congress be unanimous. Edward Rutledge of South Carolina, lawyer, captain of artillery in the Revolutionary War, governor, and Declaration of Independence signer. Guest essayist Edward Lee. In the summer of 1776, 4 well-educated men of social, economic, and political prominence stepped forward in Philadelphia to place their names on the Declaration of Independence. These founding fathers hailed from the rice-rich, slave-holding South Carolina low country. They and the other signatories boldly and courageously risked their lives and property by endorsing a formal break from the mother country's North American empire. 3 of them would be imprisoned by England aboard a vessel harbored at St. Augustine when Charleston was besieged in 1780, and the 4th would be lost at sea the previous year while the Revolution was underway. These 4 signatories were connected by family ties, the land and the economic power of the low country of South Carolina. They were well-educated advocates for their state and ably spoke for the colony's planters and legal community. By July 1776, all of them grasped that the time had come for independence, which manifested itself in Mr. Thomas Jefferson's timeless explanation of an abusive mother country, Great Britain, which was trampling on the rights of its American children. The first South Carolina signer, who is the focus of this essay, is Edward Rutledge, November 23, 1749 to January 23, 1800, one of the youngest South Carolina signatories. Rutledge was the last of 7 children born in Charleston to physician Dr. John Rutledge and Sarah Hext Rutledge. Like his 2 older brothers, John and Hugh, Edward studied law in London at Oxford's Inns of Court. During his time in London, he witnessed the Parliament's debates concerning the colonies. In 1772, he was admitted to the English bar, Middle Temple, and returned to South Carolina, where in 1774 he was married to Henrietta Middleton, the sister of signer Arthur Middleton. Edward and Henrietta had 3 children, one of whom died in infancy. In Charleston, Edward had a successful law practice and owned more than 50 slaves. From 1774 to 1776, he and older brother John represented their state in the Continental Congress. He advocated the expulsion of African Americans from the newly formed Continental Army. As a delegate to the Congress, Rutledge initially opposed Virginian Richard Henry Lee's June 1776 plan for independence, arguing that the time was not yet ripe. Persuaded that the urgency of independence and the actions of Parliament called for Southerners like himself to line up in the pro-revolution group, he argued that the vote by Congress be unanimous and become the first South Carolina delegate to affix his signature. His oratorical style was said to resemble Cicero. Returning to South Carolina in November, Rutledge served in the state's General Assembly. He served as captain of the 2nd Independent Company of Artillery in the militia and saw action at the 1779 Battle of Beaufort. He and signatories Arthur Middleton and Thomas Hayward were captured the following year when Charleston fell to the British. During July 1781, the men were released in a prisoner exchange. Returning to the General Assembly, where he served until 1796, Rutledge supported the harsh confiscation of Loyalist property. That year, he supported Thomas Jefferson's unsuccessful presidential bid. He differed with Jefferson's pro-France position and found himself often allied with President John Adams, despite the latter's support of England in its war with France. He served as a state senator for 2 years and was elected South Carolina's governor in 1798. He did not complete his term and died in Charleston in 1800. It was said that his stroke was aggravated by the previous year's death of George Washington. J. Edward Lee, Ph.D., is professor of history at Winthrop University. Lee is a former mayor of the city of York, South Carolina.